Hey, welcome back. I'm Roommate.
Today I'll introduce you to the 6th movie in the 50 Shades of Horror Challenge. It's 1988's Beetlejuice, and here's where you can watch it. I bet you could tell that I was scraping the bottom of the barrel for visuals while telling you where you could watch these, so from here on out, I'll just show you. I also realized what a fool I was for not naming next week's movie so you could watch it first. So stay tuned until the video's end to learn what the next shade is. I promise I'll stay cringe in other ways though. Beetlejuice is the most macabre and nihilistic movie we've seen yet. Our main characters are really likable, yet they die tragically and unnecessarily. We meet many dead characters, some of who have committed suicide.
If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have had my little accident.
Though the gallows humor softens the blow a bit.
You want a cigarette?
Oh, no, thank you.
I'm trying to cut down myself.
However, the movie isn't very realistic, which tempers the scares. I can finally stop saying this movie is barely scary, though I will say the scariness is more conceptual than visceral.
Well, it's showtime.
As the movie begins, we meet Adam Maitland as he builds a model of his small country town. He's enjoying a staycation with his wife Barbara. The time off will give them a chance to try again at having a child. The movie organically and subtly tells us about this through a comment made to Barbara.
Barbara, this house is too big for you. It really ought to be for a couple with a family, you know?
And Adam's adorable persistence.
We could try again on this vacation, you know?
Really? What are you saying?
They drive home when a dog gets in their way. They swerve to avoid it, but this means they get in a fatal wreck. This mangy mutt is the most evil character in the movie. Watch how he toys with them before looking down to savor his kill. Initially, they don't understand that they are deceased, but the peculiarities of their situation start adding up and it becomes clear.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
There are some great practical effects in Beetlejuice. The way her hand catches fire is awesome, looking way better than a digital effect would. They find a handbook explaining the afterlife to them, but it isn't much help.
This book reads like stereo instructions. Listen to this. Geographical and temporal perimeters. Functional perimeters vary from manifestation to manifestation.
It just means that when and where you haunt is unique. Bruh, just go to thesaurus.com. If they try to leave their house, they just wind up in the wastes, which doesn't have anything in it except for these giant sandworms that attack you. So they're stuck at their house, which isn't too bad until a new family moves into their home, the Dietzes, who are city folk. And the avant-garde tastes of Delia Dietz threaten to destroy the quaint home that the Maitlands love. The dad is fond of it, though.
Look, see? It's okay. Good, sturdy country craftsmanship.
What is it with dads and loving the country?
Typical country craftsmanship.
The only Dietz that can see them is Lydia, whose gloomy nature attunes her to the strange and unusual.
I myself am strange and unusual.
The handbook explains this.
In the book, rule number 2, the living usually won't see the dead.
Won't or can't?
It just says won't. God, this book is so stupid. I can't understand anything in it.
She's right, though. Reading is for suckers. Better find the YouTube video for the recently deceased. They try to scare off the family, but as amateur ghosts, they can't be seen by the Dietzes. So they go to the afterlife equivalent to the DMV for answers. There's the typical DMV waiting time.
Number 54,601, Fern Dog?
That dude on the left shows how Tim Burton gets his hair did. Snakebite. This movie has some excellent character designs, like this guy who was run over. Another is their caseworker, Juno, who has smoke coming out of her slit throat. She tells them to frighten off the new family. They doubt her, since it hasn't worked so far, and so they ask about Beetlejuice, who has advertised to them that he could scare them off. Juno warns them against it, saying he's bad news. After telling them not to contact Beetlejuice, of course she tells them exactly how they can do just that.
The only way he can be brought back is by calling his name 3 times.
Best counselor ever.
So they go back to basics, taking a page out of the Charlie Brown School of Ghosting by cutting some eye holes in sheets, draping them over their heads, and spookily moaning. Though they are seen, they don't succeed in terrifying anyone.
Jeez, Lydia, is Connecticut so boring? Your mother's gonna kill you when she sees you cut holes in her $300 sheets. So would you scram?
Lydia mistakes the moaning and sheets as her parents being kinky.
Sick.
sexual perversion. If you guys are gonna do that weird sexual stuff, do it in your own bedroom.
But since Lydia's a rich kid, she has one of those instantaneous Polaroids, which reveals them to be ghosts. After realizing who they are, Lydia introduces herself to the Maitlands, who explain their predicament. She isn't too fond of her stepmother Delia, so she advises them to be more gruesome to scare off her parents. Beetlejuice goes for some next-level brand activation with a TV spot.
Let me after I'm leading vile exorcists. I'll scare them real bad. Come on down now. Chew on a dog. Oh!
He gets it. That dog's evil.
They reluctantly call on Beetlejuice, and while he is plenty creepy, his lechery offends them, so they decline his services. The Dietzes host a dinner party, and the Maitlands take the opportunity to possess them. The possession ends up thrilling the Dietzes and their guests so much that they actually enjoy it, which unfortunately endears them to the house even more. How did the Maitlands think this would scare them? What kind of psycho wouldn't want to twerk to some Harry Belafonte? Come on, ghosts, think! But Beetlejuice never left. He threatens and terrifies the Dietzes. Barbara unsummons Beetlejuice, but not before he traumatizes Lydia. While he's reduced to his diminutive stature, Beetlejuice proves that he's still quite the nuisance, so Juno creates a distraction for Beetlejuice. Hey, B-Man, put those things away. The demon strippers want you to be horny, not thorny.
Jeez, imagine grinding up against those. Ugh.
She chastises Adam and Barbara for turning to him, then she coaches them on being scarier. There's a simple effect that's great, just have a different set of hands ready with the eyeballs. And since KnowYourMeme.com doesn't have an entry on it, this is where
Not bad, not bad. Now you.
Comes from. Lydia finds Beetlejuice, almost bringing him back before the Maitlands return to stop her. Then her parents host another party. Though the Maitlands refuse to participate, they are compelled, which causes them to deteriorate.
It's not easy having a good time.
Desperately, Lydia turns to Beetlejuice, who does end the party.
Attention, keyboard shoppers. Come on a little closer. Step right up.
But then he forces Lydia to marry him so he can permanently leave limbo. Barbara returns to the wastes, wrangles a sandworm, then attacks Beetlejuice, saving Lydia from the marriage.
This is about girl power. We don't need men to control our lives. We control our lives anyway.
Later, Lydia adjusts to small-town life. The Maitlands now care for her like she was their own daughter. Beetlejuice awaits processing after his most recent death, and his crudeness gets him his comeuppance in the waiting room. The Maitlands give her a celebratory possession song, floating her up while they all sing and dance. And Adam and Barbara lived happily... Oh, wait, no. And Adam and Barbara remained dead happily ever after. How scary was this movie? Beetlejuice himself is pretty frightening to the movie's characters, but he doesn't come across that way to the audience. Despite oozing grossness out of every pore, he's actually quite charismatic. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just crush on villains with white makeup and green hair.
No, you complete me.
Stop it! Despite his sleazy confidence, the B-Man's general ineptitude at his nefarious plans means he doesn't pose much of a threat. The real terror comes from the concept that our lives could end abruptly, washing our legacy away. The Maitlands' fear about their house being unrecognizably transformed and the threat of exorcism,
That's death for the dead.
symbolize the fear of our lives not mattering once we are gone. The movie also addresses suicide, with even Lydia cursed with those terrible thoughts.
I am utterly alone. By the time you read this, I will be gone.
But how can you remain suicidal after being helped out by somebody who looked like this?
Listen to her on this, Lydia. This is something we know a lot about.
Thankfully, these fears are ousted by the movie's end. The Maitland semi-adoption of Lydia represents the metaphor of the deceased connecting to the future and the living connecting to the past. So while the movie explores these frightening ideas, it ultimately dispels them, which is rather comforting. Is Beetlejuice scarier than the previous 5, or does one of them deserve this spot on the list? As long as we don't tell him it means least scary, he'd probably want the #1 spot.
I'm the ghost with the most, babe.
Do you know a movie less scary than Beetlejuice that should be on the list? Tell us in the comments. This shade's recommended other review is for We Watched a Movie. Their channel is horror-centric, so these guys cover almost every movie in this challenge. They have a fun, enthusiastic style, seen here in how they describe why Michael Keaton was so great as Beetlejuice.
It's Michael Keaton at his best. Like, Michael Keaton is able to just flow and just do his own things. Like, you can bring all the kids and the critters on. We got plenty of bugs and snakes for them to play with. So, come on down! You know,
basically, the entire movie, he's the point in Batman where he, like, breaks the mantle and he's like, look at nuts! Let's get nuts!
This light shot! Now you want to get nuts! Come on! Let's get nuts.
It's the entire fucking movie.
Check out their video, Why Beetlejuice is Tim Burton's Best Film. The link's in the description.
The seventh shade we'll cover next week is 1984's Gremlins, and here's where you can watch it.
Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when that video is released. Share this video with anyone who'd enjoy this horror movie challenge. Thank you so much for watching my video. Did you like it? Let me know by hitting the like button.
Hey Beetlejuice, should we publish 2 videos next week?
I won't do 2 shows a night anymore, babe. I won't do.
But I want to make a Valentine's Day special.
Well, since when are we taking this guy's advice on anything? Hey, you know what? You got a really good point there, Rick.
Yeah, all right, let's do it. 2 videos next week. Check in on Monday for a video outside the 50 Shades of Horror on a romantic movie. Then come back Saturday for Gremlins. See you later, huh, guys?